Hello there, friends, and welcome back to Sesh Cast. My name is Goldilocks. This is Sesh Cast, a cannabis podcast for cannabis sessions, and I'm going to move my mic closer to my face. Excuse me, sorry for the noise. There we go. I'm getting sick and don't want to talk loud because my voice hurts, and so this episode might be a little quiet, and I'm sorry. I'll boost the volume a little bit in post because I feel a little junky. It's just a cold too, which is annoying because it's nothing that like really warrants me going to the doctor or like getting an actual medicine or anything. I just have a really runny nose and it's bringing me down. Anyway, welcome to Sesh Cast, podcast that I do where I get high and talk about stuff. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Today, I am smoking, I think, on more Earth OG. I should just look, because I actually brought the bag down here with me this time. Let me see. No, this is white gold, which I had never had before. It was a different name on the shelf, so I really enjoyed it. It's been good. Good indica. Tastes great, really earthy. It was super frosty, which was cool. Yeah, it's good. I like it. Anyway, it's a new month, so I've got a new pipe out, and I broke the Sesh Cast pipe back out. My like little custom piece that I got from my buddy Sean over at the Jefferson Glass Co. Or the guy behind Jefferson Glass Co. So if you have not seen this piece, it's on my Instagram, and I'll post another picture of it. But this was made by a guy near the town where I grew up, that I connected with not so long ago. And he just sent it to me, and this is the first pipe he sent me. He's since sent me a second one. I love them both, but this one actually has Sesh Cast blown into the front of it. It's super awesome. Maybe I'll get another good picture of this on the Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram. I am at SeshCast, all one word. Keep up with what I'm smoking and things that I'm doing, and slowly trying to be a little bit more active on that again. I was really, really good about it last year until like the summer, and then I kind of faded off. So I'm trying to be better about doing Instagram things. Yes, so I'm smoking on some white OG out of this little Sesh Cast pipe, it's just real small, which is good because I honestly might not smoke very much today. Like I said, I'm getting sick, and I'm somebody who's really bad about like, even if I have a sore throat, even if I'm like very sick, I'll smoke anyway, which I know I shouldn't do. It's not good for me, and it honestly just makes me sicker. So I'm just gonna smoke a little bit, and I have a very small bowl packed, just because I don't want to like hack a lung up or irritate my throat any more than it already is from all the drainage running down the back of it. So yeah, but it's just a little guy, and it's cool. I love the color on it. It's got the like pastel, blue, purple, and yellow. Yellow and blue are like the big colors, but it's like a purple, blue, and yellow, like little pastel. I think that I related it to like clouds because I think it looks a lot like clouds, but it's this really cool coloring that he does, and I've got it on. I have 3 pieces from him. I have more art from Sean than I have from anybody else. So 2 of them have this really similar kind of coloring, and I just really, really like it. Like I don't want to describe it this way because it would give it such a negative connotation, but it looks kind of like Easter colored mold, but in a pretty way, not in a gross mold way. And then it's just got a sweet like mushroom millie on the side of it that I really, really like. Big orange mushroom that's super cool. So yeah, that's this pipe. That's this weed. I'm gonna smoke some of this, and then we'll talk about the episode. Cheers, friends. Okay, so there we go. Starting it off early. I need to plug my laptop in. There we go. Come on now. Wake up. For a hot second there, I thought I just lost the episode and needed to start over. That would have been really sad. Anyway, today's episode, the title of this episode is Help. And um, I came up with this topic honestly because of my Facebook memories, which is a little weird. And I'll get into that more here in a little bit. But um, let me first say, or like, if there's any concern, this episode isn't like I'm calling for help. I just want to talk about help. Um, because I think that it's something that is easier to live life with than without. And that's something that I think I constantly need to remind myself, and something that I've done a good job of reminding myself lately. And I'm a little bit proud of myself for how good I have been about asking for help when I need it over the last month or so. Yeah, and I'm pretty excited about that. So that's just sort of where I wanted to go with today's episode. And to go back to Facebook, let me pull it up. Now Facebook is going to refresh to the top, and I got to scroll down. I I hate Facebook. I hate how obsessed I am with Facebook. I hate how much time I spend on Facebook. I hate Facebook. I wish I could delete it. I just can't. Because radio, you have to have presence on all your social media. Anyway, so my Facebook memories. 8 years ago, February 3rd of 2011, somewhere in mid high school for me, my very angsty self posted on Facebook. More respect is given to those who ask for help than to martyrs who die without asking for it. Now, first, let me say that I am very impressed that I actually used the right form of than, because my grammar and my spelling has always been terrible, but high school, it was like, it was atrocious. Um, so I used the right form of than, and that's cool, but like, aside from being super melodramatic and like pseudo poetic, honestly, it's kind of a good sentiment, I think. Um, More respect is given to those who ask for help than to the martyrs who die without asking for it. Um, my guess is that what I was trying to say there, at least what I'm going to take from it now, 8 years later, is that it's better to ask for help than it is to not ask for help and think that you are you are doing the right thing by doing things on your own, or that people will give you more honor for failing without asking for help than succeeding when you ask for help. I think, and maybe that's obvious. I don't know. I hope that it's obvious. 2011 me hopes that it's obvious. That was obviously what I was trying to get across. Um, so where that came from for me in 2011 is interesting, because in 2011 I was doing a horrendous job of asking for help. I was dealing with the death of a friend of mine, and I was dealing with a lot of issues in the relationship that I had with my parents, and I was dealing with a lot of other, just, we'll just call it generalized mental health issues and stimulants that were putting me in a pretty negative place. And I was growing up and starting to think about college and not wanting to go to college, but needing to go to college, and yada, yada, yada. 2011 was a really rough time for me, and I was doing nothing in the sense of asking for help for anyone else. That was certainly not what I was doing, or what was on my mind. So it's interesting, I think, that I posted this and so confidently stated, like, it's better to ask for help than to not ask for help, when I wasn't taking my own advice. So I don't know what on February 3rd, 2011 at 7:27 p.m. prompted me to post this. I don't know what random thing happened to me in that day that I was upset. I'm sure that it was related to something, and it was probably something with a girl. Who knows? Anyway, I don't know what prompted me to say that, but I think that it's really interesting that I would say that, knowing that in 2011, and being, I think, self aware then, that I was actively not asking for help. In fact, I was the exact opposite. I was the person saying I would rather go down without asking for help than take help from anyone else. And for me, it was never like a pride thing. For me, it was, I always felt like asking for help was uh, negatively impacting the person who helped me. Like, I was inconveniencing them, I was annoying them, I was hindering their progress, whatever. I always felt like if I asked for help, then I was putting my problems onto someone else. And I thought, best I deal with my problems than share my problems with anyone else, because I don't want anyone else to like feel the way that I feel. So I'm gonna, while I'm doing this podcast, hold on, I pressed the wrong button on my phone. While I'm doing this podcast, I'm going to uh go away, please. Thank you. I'm gonna pin this this post to my screen so that I can go back to my clock and still have that post, which will be nice because I don't know how long I've been talking. Okay, there we go. Um, Sorry you had to hear all that. That's what happens when you do a live podcast. Um, I I was definitely the person who wouldn't ask for help, and again, it was because I thought that by helping me, it was hurting someone else. Um, and that I didn't want to cast my negative problems, or my problems in general, onto other people. Um, so that was really interesting of me to post back then, and I think that what I posted was right, what I was doing was wrong. Um, so I again, I don't know why I posted that. Maybe I posted that as a message to myself because I knew that that was something that I was doing. Um, I don't really know. And I'm really having a hard time of trying to think like why I would have put that out into the ether. But um, here I am now, 8 years later, still often struggling to ask for help. But I've just had a month that I've done a really good job of it, and that's, I think, something that is worth praising. Like worth acknowledging, because I think any small victory in your mental health journey is a victory that is worth acknowledging. Because you can't minimize your own victories. You can't downplay your own positive achievements, because the minute you start doing that, like the minute you are digging yourself into a hole you can't get out of. Um, any little thing, any little victory, whatever it may be, like, be proud of that, and lift that up to yourself. Like, I understand that it's really easy to be hard on yourself. I'm super hard on myself all of the time, but um, even if you're hard on yourself, try not to be hard on your accomplishments. Try not to downplay things that you do well, because everybody does things well. Everybody has moments where they work forward towards their goal. And the minute you start telling yourself that these moments that you're doing good things aren't necessarily good enough, or aren't good at all, like, you are you are blocking yourself from improvement. Um, I think, and I think that if you start blocking yourself from improvement, you get to this point where it is hard to ask for help. It is hard to help yourself. You are sort of trapped, um, because one of the best ways to increase your positive view of yourself is to work in some capacity towards a goal. And so if you have minimized your small steps towards that goal, if you have determined that your small steps towards a goal are negligible and not worth acknowledging, then you are going to feel your progress be so much slower, and you're not really ever going to see that progress. When in reality, you're making leaps and bounds in the little ways. Little accomplishments are good. I don't 100% know how I got here from talking about asking for help, but here we are. Little accomplishments are good. I'm going to smoke some more weed, take a little hit here, and go on with something else. Cheers. So to go off this in a little bit of a different direction, I often find for myself that the hardest part of asking for help is the asking. It's not necessarily the being helped. It is the actual act of saying, like, someone help me. Can you do this for me? Will you help me with this? Whatever it may be, I've always found that the hardest part is saying it and putting it out there and taking the initial step. Um, I don't know if that's true for everyone, but I'd say that that's probably true for a lot of people because momentum carries people so far forward. Momentum is the number one driving factor that anyone can use to their advantage on a day-to-day basis. I really think that that is that is reality. And I was just talking about this with someone the other day, actually, that if you are struggling to get out of bed, convince yourself, push yourself to get out of bed for 5 minutes. And if after 5 minutes you decide this is too much, I don't want to do this, then by all means go back to bed. But if you're up for 5 minutes, you can probably do 6 minutes. And if you can do 6 minutes, you can probably do 7 minutes. And momentum will just really help push you um, to where you need to go. It's very important, and momentum is good. Sorry, I just had to cut a little bit of dead air out there. I got a text that really distracted me, and it was important, and I needed to respond right away. So I'm back, and to be completely honest, know that I was talking about momentum, but I don't remember exactly where that sentence was. So I apologize for cutting off in the middle of that sentence. I'm gonna jump back in here. So momentum is important. You get out of bed for 5 minutes, you can get out of bed for 6 minutes, and you can keep going. And so once you ask for help, or once I ask for help, then I feel it gets easier to receive that help. But it's that breaking over that initial barrier, cresting that initial hill, that is the most difficult thing for me. And I think that that's true for a lot of people. And so I don't necessarily have a solution. I don't have an answer other than to acknowledge and be aware of the fact that it is important to make that first step. And I'm trying to know about myself, like I'm trying to learn that while I I'm trying to learn about myself that while I really struggle to make that first step, I always have a better experience afterwards. It always gets easier for me. Um, in the rare occasion, something goes wrong and you ask for help and it was the wrong decision, or you do whatever and it was the wrong thing. Whatever, take that off the table. We're making generalizations here. Um, in the good times, I have learned about myself that the first step is always the hardest, and then it always gets easier after that. So I'm trying really hard to use that knowledge and that mindfulness to push past my fear, my anxiety, my disdain, my disinterest, my whatever in taking the first step of things. Just because I know it will get better for me after I take the first step. And that continues to prove itself over and over and over and over again. And I was the same way in school when it came to like starting assignments. I would fly through homework when I would do it. Doing it was the hardest part, sitting down and actually doing the homework. If I would have just sat down and done it, I would have done so much more when I was in school. But the reality is I just never did homework. Because doing the first step was tough. But when it came to writing big papers, I would get mad anxiety looking at a blank page. But once I had a page full, or started, not even full, just once I had a couple sentences down, it would just fly right through me. Like, it would be no problem and no worries at all. So I've been trying hard to use that mindfulness to convince myself that it's okay to ask for help when I need it. And I've done a good job of that in January. And I hope that that's something that can be beneficial to you as well, or that's a knowledge that, I'm sorry, not a knowledge, that's a tool that you can use. That mindfulness, that if you are someone who struggles to do the first step, but afterwards it tends to get easier, try to apply that to other situations in your life, and try to apply that when it comes to things like asking for help or doing things you don't want to do. Um, because it's worked pretty okay for me, especially this month. I've done a pretty good job of it. Part of the reason this has all come up is that, and just to be like straightforward and candid about this, is that I finally found a counselor in the area that I've been living in since college that I've connected well with and feel comfortable going to, which is awesome. Um, Talking to someone can be so incredibly beneficial, and uh, that's I think true for everybody. I think just having a facilitated time and space to process through your experience is crucial, and I think is something that is just good for general wellness. I really don't know that I know anyone, and maybe there are people out there, but I don't know you if you exist. I think that everyone out there can really legitimately benefit from having someone to talk to, from whether it's a counselor, a psychologist, or there are other um, social worker is another one. There's like a whole list of people. They all have different purposes, but I don't know enough about that to tell you false information. So I think that is a really beneficial thing for people, and it's something that I have wanted to do but have really struggled to do basically since I moved out to college, and it's just been an issue for me more and more since I graduated, because I just haven't had necessarily the mental capacity to reach over that first step and make the first appointment and make the first phone call. And I finally hit that point. I finally crested that first hill. And as soon as I did, everything has been easier since. And it's been very beneficial to me already. So that was a big, that was one of my big resolutions for 2019, was to help myself in that way, and to find someone that I could talk to on a regular basis, because I knew that it would be helpful for me. So, I crested that first step. I asked for that help, and here I am feeling significantly better on the other side of it. And that's my I guess initial take in this episode, is that if that's something that you have fear and anxiety over doing, if that's the kind of help that you feel like you need to ask and you're really struggling with it, let me first say I level with you, and I have been there for months and months and months. Um, Honestly, it's been years and years and years. So I'm not going to look at you and tell you, well, it's easy to ask for help. You just have to do it, because I know that that's not reality. But what I am going to tell you is, like, I get how you're feeling, and I've been there a lot. And here I am on the other side of the other side of it, telling you almost immediately after I crested that first step, everything got immensely easier. Um, yeah, it's been incredibly beneficial for me, and if that's something that you were hesitant about doing, I would implore you to consider it more of an option and give it a shot. Because after you make that first step, it'll be a lot easier. I'm not here to push anybody and give a ton of advice, because it's just not necessarily my space, and I didn't really do the research to do one of those episodes, and maybe someday I will. But I literally Googled counselors near me and just started clicking on websites and opening up tabs until I found an aggregator that let me filter search for what I was looking for, and found some people that fit. And the hardest part was making the initial appointment, but I found a place that I could do it all through the website. So there was no awkward phone call or email conversation I had to go through. I could just fill in my information and click the order button and add to cart. So there was a very millennial way to do it, and it was great, and now I feel a lot better. So I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm just here to break down the stigma a little bit. I think that's what I'm going to talk about after I take another hit. So I'm going to hit this real quick, and I'll be right back. Cheers. That was really not that massive of a hit, but there was a crucial, uh, very crucial water break in there to fight the cottonmouth that is plaguing me so hard. Anyway, so breaking the stigma a little bit. Let's go that way. Why not? When it comes to asking for help, I think that there is a huge stigma around it, as there is a huge stigma around so many things, especially in American culture. And I've said this in other episodes, but let me say it again. I'm going to talk exclusively about American culture because that is what my experience is with. This could very well happen other places. This could very well happen to you wherever you live. This could very well not happen to you if you are in America somewhere other than me. But I'm going to talk about my experience here. And so please know that that is the lens that I put this through. I'm not trying to, and I'm never trying to at this show, make huge, gigantic statements that are super well researched and thought out. And if I have those statements, which I have before in episodes, I'll always tell you, what my sources are, where I'm getting information from, and things like that. But when I talk about my experience, I'm talking about exactly that, like what I have had happen to me in my life, the things that I've observed, the things that I know, whether they are sweepingly true or not. I try not to consider. I try to just speak openly and be straightforward about my opinions. So please don't take my word as law, and please don't be offended if I say something that you feel like isn't true about you where you live or you and your experience. I'd love to talk to you about that, but I'm just here to give you my experience, and I want to make that claim and put that straight forward. Anyway, in American culture, in my experience, anything that makes you appear as not the strongest being known to man is negative. That's like what we have decided, and it sucks, and I don't like it. I hate it. Um, you're not supposed to ask for help. You're not supposed to like be and and you can take this a thousand ways. You can take this with toxic masculinity, but I think that this is a concept that extends past gender in that discussion, but it extends past mental health as well. Just anything that makes you seem like you are not the perfect being is negative. We've determined now that you are supposed to be perfect all on your own all of the time. There's no room for flaw when it comes to our culture and our society. Maybe that's the same everywhere. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's worse other places. Maybe it's better other places. I don't know. What I know is that what I can see, what I have been able to determine is that whether it's asking for help, whether it is acting acting a way that does not make sense for your gender or your religion or your like physicality or your body shape or your mental health or whatever, like if it is anything other than what people think you should be doing, it's a negative thing and you shouldn't do it. And that is, I think, really affecting a lot of people in their ability to ask for help when it comes to anything. Like, because we have decided that asking for help makes you weak. Asking for help means that you can't do it on your own. And because you can't do it on your own, you shouldn't be doing it at all. And the reality is that that's not true. Like there's no reason for that mindset. There's no proof behind that. Not everybody can be perfect at everything. And if I'm really good at one thing and someone else is really good at another thing, and I have come to a task that requires me to be good at both of those things, I of course am going to ask person two to help me learn the thing that they're good at. Like ah, it's not bad to ask for help, to work together, to move forward, and that's what I really think asking for help is. It's you're you're asking for help to work as a team to move forward. And whether that's somebody helping you move a couch into your house, whether that's asking for someone to help you, like, with a ride home at the end of the night, whether that's someone, or whether that's you asking someone for help as someone to go to their office and talk to once or twice a week, like, no matter in what way you're asking for help, you're just working together as a team in some capacity to move closer to a goal, and to get, like, to make the whole world better. That's just it. I don't know how to frame it other than that, because in my brain and the way I logicked through all this, that's the only thing that makes sense. Like, asking for someone to help, or asking for help from someone. Yeah, there we go. Um, isn't you being weak, it's you building your team. It's you improving your party, like, it's you making sure that you are the most prepared to overcome whatever things you need to overcome that you can be. Yeah, I think that all came together. Um like, asking for help is a good thing. The one important thing to remember is that you in your asking for help, it means that you've got to be willing to be helped, because a team is not just one person. A team is a group, and everyone's got to participate. Everyone's got to play. Like, everybody's got to put in their part of the deal. You can't ask for help and then expect the other person to do everything for you. You can't ask for help and then expect to not, like, sit around and do nothing. You gotta put in as much as you can all the time and everything. Like, just try your hardest. And I know I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but I'm sick and high, so give it to me, please. Um, it's just important. It's just, asking for help is a two-way street, and everything should be a two-way street. You should always be trying to do things, even if they're hard for you, and get the help that you need, and don't let the other person, or don't make the other person feel like they're just carrying you. Try, even in the smallest ways that you can. And honestly, like, now I'm just really rambling and repeating myself. I've lost my own train of thought. I'm gonna take another hit and wrap this up. Cheers. Thanks for coming along with me on this adventure. I think I'm gonna wrap this one up kind of early. Honestly, because, like, I'm sick and I'm just not all here today, and I'm struggling. I'm getting distracted a lot. Full disclosure, I've cut, oh, I would say 3 or 4 sections of silence where I just kind of lost my train of thought for 10 or 15 seconds. Um, so no content, no, like, edits, nothing changed or left out. Just pulled some silence out. So if this episode rings in a little short, that's why. I'm just not feeling good. Hopefully, I'm feeling a little bit better next week, and I'm in a little bit less of a distracting environment. I record these when I'm the only one home, because I live with a group of other people, but everyone is home today, and there's just a lot of things going on around the house, and I'm getting distracted. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna head out, and I'm gonna go watch the Super Bowl, because that's tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch the Super Bowl. I knew I had something else today. That's kind of exciting. Um, by the time this episode comes out, we will know who won or lost. But right now, I don't. And right now, I hope it's the Rams. Why? Because literally anyone other than the Patriots. I hate the Patriots. And yeah, so if you're in New England, um, sorry I hate your team. If you're one of those weird Patriots fans somewhere else, sorry I hate your team, but I hate your team and I hope they lose. So yeah, go Rams, go St. Louis, or LA, because they're not St. Louis anymore. Oops. Um, Go Rams. And I hope that you have a great week, and I hope that this episode is at least a little bit helpful for you. And if there's something you're feeling like you need to ask for help with, I hope that you can just do it, and make that first step, because it'll get easier on the other side. Yeah, I think that's about it. Follow me on Instagram if you want, at Sesh Cast. Do the iTunes review rate thing if you want to do that. That's always helpful. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next week. Have a great one. And yeah, I'm going to hit this and get out of here. Cheers. Thanks. My name is Goldilocks. This has been Sesh Cast. Thank you so much for listening.